Welcome back for part 2 of our abstract portraits, all about coloring. Now for this project, we're going to learn about analogous colors. Analogous colors are colors on the color wheel that are neighbors in groups of 3. Okay, so neighbors on the color wheel in groups of 3. They are a triad. So yellow, yellow, orange, and orange would be analogous. Violet, violet, and blue would be analogous. Looking at the color wheel is how you can tell which colors are analogous. Groups of 3 and neighbors on the color wheel. An artist uses an analogous color scheme when they want their artwork to have harmony and unity. All right, now let's go ahead and get started so I can show you how I'd like you to color your abstract portrait. We are going to use crayons today because crayons are a really great material for blending colors together so that they gradually change from one color to the next. So here I've picked out 3 colors that I think are analogous, and I'm just going to double check on the side of the crayon to look at the color and make sure it matches the color on the color wheel. So I have a red, violet, and now I'm looking for a violet. Okay, so there's violet, violet, and red. Analogous colors, neighbors on the color wheel in groups of 3. It's totally your choice what 3 analogous colors you use. Okay, so now what we're going to do is start coloring, and I want you to use a technique called blending. We're going to blend these colors together so that they gradually change from one color to another, so a transition of color. Kind of like maybe you guys would recognize it as ombre. Ombre is very similar to the way that we're going to do this today. So I'm just coloring here at the top of my space. Inside the big spaces is where I want you to practice your blending. Small spaces like inside the eye or around on the shirt, you don't have to blend. You can just use 1 or 2 colors. But in the big spaces like in the face, I'd like you to practice with the 3 analogous colors. So here I colored my red, and now I'm working with my red violet. Notice I left a white space in between each color. That's important. We're going to have to remember to do that each time we want to blend colors together, and I'll show you why in just a second. So here over that white space, I'm bringing the red down and I'm slightly overlapping into the red violet. Then I'm going back in with the red violet and slightly overlapping into the red. This is going to create a smooth transition and a gradual change of color. I'm going to go start with my purple now, or my violet, and I'm going to do the same thing. Coloring the bottom space but leaving a small white patch of the paper so that I can overlap into that space and the colors will blend. Okay, so there's my white space, and now I'm going to overlap, bring the red violet down into the violet, slightly overlapping at that edge, and then going back in with my violet and overlapping into the red violet. So it's a lot of back and forth with your colors to create a nice smooth transition between colors so it looks nice and blended. Okay, so now what I'm doing is going back in with my red violet and just darkening up some spots, some empty white spaces that I see there, and covering them up. All right, so here I'm just going to finish this up in fast forward. Always making sure to leave a white space and then overlapping, blending the colors together in that white space. Remember, the small spaces you don't need to blend, you can just use 1 color.